Hi everyone, this is BBU-timization. Welcome to our channel. As you can see from our channel name, I'm going to cover optimization models and methods. So this video introduces how to formulate the mathematical model that will really help you to understand the following videos about the mathematical programming. So let's start. Usually the mathematical program consists of 4 elements: decision variables, objective function, constraints, and parameters. So we are going to review the definitions of these 4 elements with the example. Let's take a look at this example. A manufacturer of plastics is planning to blend a new product from 4 chemical compounds. These compounds are mainly composed of 3 elements A, B, C. The composition and unit costs of these chemicals are shown in the following table like this. So these are the data that we have right now. These new products consist of 20% of element A, at least 30% of element B, and at least 20% of element C. Due to the side effects of compounds 1 and 2, they cannot exceed 30% and 40% of the content of the new product respectively. Find the least costly way of blending. So, first of all, decision variables are defined as the variables which are unknown, and it is going to be determined by solving the problem. Here, guess which one is the decision variable in this example? It seems like there are 2 options. Someone can say the quantity of the compound 1, 2, 3, 4 would be the decision variables, and the others can say the quantity of 3 elements A, B, C would be decision variables. Here, the answer is the compounds, because we are going to find the cheapest way to blend a new product using these 4 chemical compounds. Here we have cost per unit of each compound, so these would be the decision variables. Next, objective function is the real valued function whose value is to be either minimized or maximized. And this is written in terms of the decision variables. Here it is really easy to find the objective function because it says find the least costly way of blending. So we want to minimize the total cost of 4 compounds. So the objective function would be the total cost of 4 compounds. The next one is the constraint. Constraints are inequalities or equalities that defines restrictions on decisions. In this example, there are restrictions on the proportion of the elements and compounds. So these are the constraints in this problem. So the last one is the parameter. Parameters are the data that we have, which will be the coefficients of the constraints or the coefficients of the objective functions. So this table and the values on the restriction will be the parameters in this problem. So now we learned these 4 elements. Then now we're going to write down the formulation. When we write a mathematical formulation, there is an unspoken rule to write these 4 elements and at the appropriate location. So let's start with the objective function. You write down the objective function here, and then you also need to specify whether you're going to minimize or maximize this objective function. You can shorten this as min or max. And then right below the objective function, you're going to write down a set of constraints here. And then subjective 2 or s dot t dot. And then parameters are included in the constraints and objective function as a coefficient. And then right below the constraints, you are supposed to specify the domain of the decision variable. For example, you have a decision variable x1 that is non-negative and real value like this. And then after writing down this formulation, I would recommend you to write down the meaning of each decision variable. If you don't specify this, other people cannot understand your formulation, so it's really important to write down to specify the meaning of each decision variable.